So Michael McDougall is Reprise Digital's SVP Head of Experience. Welcome, Mike.
Okay, let me grab this mic. Here's my clicker. Okay. I know what you're thinking, guys. Who invited the search guy to a video conference? But honestly, I think that conversation has never been more important than it is now. I managed to pitch my deck to Lisa, and she seemed kind of bought in. So here we are today, and that's where I'm here now. But honestly, I think we're going to get to some stuff in today's presentation that is going to really signpost to you guys how important that is when you're thinking about your video and your content strategy, basically. How can we measure that in search? How can we optimize that to provide better digital experiences for our customers? And that's the thing that we talk about as an agency. We talk about this thing called flow. And flow is essentially eliminating those points of friction, those pain points in that digital experience, and make sure we funnel those end users to those actions that we want them to take within that digital ecosystem as well. Righty. Which button do I press here? The top. Big green one. There we go. Okay, guys, this is me. This is just to prove that I do actually have some hobbies outside of search and SEO. I am a normal human being. I like to snowboard. I work for a company called Reprise Media, so I'm an agency guy. I got about 20 years experience working in different parts, but basically search has been kind of what I've been involved in for almost 20 years. So it's been a pretty wild ride. I'm going to talk about some of these things today. We're going to do a little retrospective, so we're going to look back at the past a little bit, and we're obviously going to talk about today, the here, the now, the present, and give you guys some actionable insights that you can take away to implement into your own strategies. And then we're going to talk a little bit about, with one eye on the future as well. So what does the future hold for video, and specifically in relation to those digital channels and those digital experiences? Cool, so we've come a long way since the dawn of Google way back in the 90s. You know, those initial search engine results pages, we would look at them now and our modern, overstimulated brains just would be completely bored and turned off by this. So we see that textual, it's just basically all text in 1998. That's what it was. It was a search engine results page and essentially a directory. So pretty dull for our 2022 brains. Fast forward to the 2010s, and we can see that that search experience is really starting to change. Obviously, we've got advertising in there, quite a lot of advertising in there, but we've also started to get some more rich content in there as well. Some interesting stuff from Google, something in there, you know, like image-related content, for example, and then we're starting to see this kind of knowledge panel on the right-hand side as well, which, again, is really just the sign of Google starting able to pass more information and pass that into search engines and pass that on to consumers as well to enrich that searching experience. Zoom forward to today, that same search today, and if I scroll down that if I scroll down that search engine results page, what I can see there, some really engaging content and quite a lot of video content in there as well. So when I am searching for, you know, a sort of actionable keyword in the automotive space, a lot of people now are looking for content that they consume with their eyes in a video fashion as well. So we can see a lot of review content now as well. So certainly in the automotive space, many, many industries, this is going to be really, really important of that strategy moving forwards. And we've actually got a little bit of data. Again, as an SEO and search guy, we like to kind of, you know, really look at a big data view sometimes. So we can take kind of customer search behavior from Google, and we can look at that in real depth. And our customers will come to us and ask for justification around the particular tactics that they're going to be using and implementing as well. So, for example, here we took around about 9,000 keywords in cloud computing. We're able to query Google Trends API, and we can kind of turn that data into a kind of time machine, if you like, to show how that search engine result page has changed over a 5-year period. Really, really interesting. So we can look, well, it's interesting to me anyway, it might not be to you guys. But we can look at the real estate percentage that was controlled by those those web listings, so just that traditional organic search listing compared to image and compared to video. And what we can see is video is on the rise over the last 5 years. It's overtaken image content in terms of the real estate that it's controlling in this specific vertical, in this specific topic cluster. But if we queried that across the images, across the different verticals and industries that you guys work in, we would probably see those same things as well. So really interesting to see that real estate is starting to change, and it's really starting to evolve to align with the kind of content that consumers are demanding, and a lot of that is going to be video and image-based content. So where do we see ourselves today? So search engines kind of had a fundamental problem as to, okay, how do we actually turn that moving image into something that we can pass into search engines? So how do we kind of figure that part out to turn all of that really exciting data into something that an algorithm can understand? Search engines by their nature are binary. They are ones and zeros. It is textual content. It is the code that sits in a website. Excuse the 90s Matrix reference here as well, guys. I'm kind of aging myself a little bit. But what we're seeing was there was a few ways that search engines were able to get that information and extract that from content to be able to enhance the experience in search. So the first one, metadata. If you believe it, metadata was a phrase that was actually coined in 1967. And all that means is just information that you guys don't see. Essentially, it's hidden information related to computing, relating to now web pages and content that we can't see that's there for the benefit of search engines or to be queried. So metadata is something that is able to pass extra information around your video content, your images, any piece of content there on the internet. It's able to pass that information on to be able to give search engines more info to be able to make better decisions around what it's showing in the search engines. I promise this is as techie as I'm going to get, but there's something called schema markup as well. So a bunch of search engines came together, Google, Bing, Yahoo, Yandex, a big Russian search engine. They came together and kind of created this program on schema.org, which was an open source platform, which kind of took metadata and kind of took it to the next level. So schema markup, again, is some more information that we can attach to things like video and image content, any kind of content you can think that sits on the web. We can attach schema to that as well. And again, that's going to be able to make search engines make better, smarter decisions about how it uses that content. I think really interestingly as well, the third point is the accessibility side of things for video as well. So being able to create content for potentially visually impaired or hearing impaired end users. Again, we think of things like closed captioning, transcriptions on videos, and all of those things give more information to search engines to be able to turn that video information into something that a search engine can use to kind of feed into that algorithm as well. So I'm going to talk a little bit about the schema markup. You guys may not know that you see this absolutely every day when you're Googling around. So things like people also ask data or featured snippets, which you will see. Embedded video results, when you see the kind of the markers or the timeline attached to a video, all of that is going to be related to schema data that techie guys are putting in the background to be able to pass that information. We can see a cool one down here, which is what we call FAQ schema. This is like the kind of the golden goose for an SEO guy like me. If you win one of those FAQ schemas for your client, it's big news. And then this knowledge panel information on the right-hand side as well. All of this is being driven by schema in the background as well. So I promise you guys that's about as techie as we're going to get today. But a really interesting point and definitely something that you should talk to the more technical and implementation teams about as well. So we're going to talk a little bit around some of those specific tactics in action. Again, so we're going to talk about a specific case study here we've got for a large automotive brand and their Super Bowl ad campaign. We're just outlining what the challenge was here, but you can think, it's not just about a video or a TV spot in a Super Bowl commercial. It's really about all of the different assets and different formats of content that goes with that as well, that is built for that whole ecosystem. Right from the TV itself through to the digital channels, or across all of those different owned channels, YouTube, social, email, web, all of those things, really, really important. And then, the goal was, how do we draw the line and how do we measure that as well? So really, how could we go back to the brand at the end of this campaign and really show the success of how we were able to translate, this amazing TV spot and the Super Bowl ad and actually turn that into video currency, into something tangible for a brand and measurable for the brand as well. So a few of the metrics here, 121,000 hours, which sounds like a lot of time. The interesting ones for me here, we're actually seeing specific uplift in search volume and clicks related to specific keywords as well. So the brand plus electric SUV, for me as an SEO guy or a search guy, really, really interesting because it shows that we're directing attention from a TV spot to a really specific search that's really related to the brand product that we're looking to drive interest for as well. So really interesting from a brand perspective there. Also for me, really interesting as well. Obviously, automotive is something that activates on that hyper-local level through a specific dealership, for example. People booking test drives, people going to actually look at the vehicles. So we actually saw quite a large uplift in website clicks from Google My Business as well. So it actually showed how the TV ad was really translating to that hyper-local strategy as well and driving people to actually go and request information about their local dealerships as well. So really, really interesting how that video translating into hyper-local targeting actions as well. Again, how do we actually get clients coming to us now, which I really like when they do, to say, okay, how do we measure the impact of our TV spots in terms of our digital strategy as well? So this is for a client in the pharmaceutical space. And what we can see here is a direct correlation between TV spend and organic search traffic as well. So it actually shows that, we saw essentially a doubling in traffic, 100% quarter-on-quarter uplift when the brand increased their TV spend as well. So it shows that direct correlation between that kind of ATV, that above-the-line activation on TV and how that actually translates into actual organic visits to a website as well. So really interesting data there. And more of our clients are coming to us, asking us to kind of square this circle. So when we look at the current landscape, I think it's really interesting to understand, what drives success in search, where we are in 2022 and beyond. So we kind of look at, search success drivers, so the things that are going to influence search engine algorithms to, give you guys better visibility. They're also going to enhance your digital experience as well. So, we want customers to actually enjoy their digital experiences on your website. They should be things that, they should be enjoyed. So we want to make sure that we're building strategies that are actually focused on providing really nice digital experiences for people. So we look at a few different elements, and interestingly for me, we can see how video content feeds into a lot of those as well. So we look at trust, so things like brand awareness. So, when we can see a TV spot directly impacting recall of a brand in search engines, then that's something that's going to be able to build brand awareness. And we know that's something that Google factor into their search algorithm. Relevancy is all about that content as well. So, making sure that we've got the kind of content that people are looking to consume, really, really important from a search engine perspective. And obviously video needs to be a big part of that strategy for brands moving forward. We showed earlier that real estate that video is commanding is increasing. So it's really important that obviously that is part of that strategy as well. And then we also look at these engagement metrics and UX metrics as well. I'm not even sure whether excitingness is a word, but we're going to go with it for today. That's not actually mine. We actually use a partner for this called iQuant. But what we do is we're able to combine all of those metrics, and it kind of gives us, if you like, a sort of a score, if you like, as to a brand's digital prowess. And what we see is, search visibility directly correlates with those higher scores. So it tells us if you're providing a better digital experience for your clients, and we can clearly see that video is a big, big part of that, then you're going to see greater success in search across all channels as well. So we've also got one eye on the future here as well, and just wanted to talk about some some potential emerging trends that might be interesting to you guys. If you believe it or not, but these images on the right do not actually exist. These were not photos that were actually taken by anyone. This was generated by a computer AI system. Really cool. So Microsoft backed a company to develop a new machine learning framework called GPT-3. And what it can do, it can write tweets, it can write short-form content for you, it can do some really cool stuff. And it's kind of spooky when you read it, that it's actually really good at it. It's actually quite better at writing content than quite a lot of our content team, which is a little bit scary. But what we're seeing is AI and machine learning is starting to make some huge leap forwards as well. So we've got this video content where you literally just say, give me an image of a bear on a skateboard in Times Square, but maybe you put the bokeh effect in the background as well. And the AI will go ahead and just create that for you and give you 8 different options for that as well. It's actually pretty cool if you want to go down that rabbit hole. There's some pretty cool Twitter handles with weird stuff that's been created on DALL-E, and it's really interesting for me. But if the fact that we can do that with images now, we're not going to be too far away from being able to generate things like animated content. We're already seeing, people, for example, fueling their blog image strategy without using a designer. They're using AI to do that as well. So I think it's fair to say that that's probably going to come into the video space at some point. The AI is going to be able to turn its power towards that. And that's probably going to make some of that content a little bit more accessible for people as well, which is always a good thing. Interestingly as well, and by the way, this is nowhere a takedown of Mom on Timeout. There's actually some pretty good content on there. But what we're seeing is that Gen Z are starting to potentially turn their back on search engines like Google. You guys have probably all been there. Recipe content. I just want the recipe. I don't want to scroll down. I don't want to hear the first time you ate mac and cheese in 1993. Just give me the recipe. And then I've got video ads auto-playing. I've got this little ticker. You can tell I like sneakers as well because that was following me the whole way down the page. And it's a frustrating experience. So I think that people are starting to turn their back on this kind of content as well. And what we're seeing is that Gen Z are turning towards platforms like TikTok for this kind of information as well. It's easily consumable, and it's just more functional, to be able to give people the recipe and show them actually visually how to create it as well. So we're in a position now where we're going to see Google essentially have to respond to things like this as well. Just this stat there, quite interestingly, 40% of 18 to 24-year-olds, when they're looking for lunch ideas, they're not using search engines. They're using TikTok. They're using Instagram as well. So just like we're seeing, people starting to potentially turn their back on Facebook, we could see just more of a diversification of the search engines that people are using in the future as well. So as marketers, we need to be prepared for that. So just a quick recap before we wrap, and then open the floor to any questions. Measurement, really important one from our perspective. How do we make sure that we're tracking that activity, from above the line or TV spots back to search, for example? So speak to your teams about ways that they can potentially do that. And also think beyond search. Think about YouTube. Think about social media platforms and the impact that that's having there. It's my techie one, metadata, schema. Talk to your technical teams and your SEO teams and your technical implementation teams about implementing schema. It's really going to help to drive and control more search real estate for your business for things like your video content, your text content, even things like authorship and things like that. Really, really important. And, we very much like to think that we're looking to enhance. We're not creating strategies for search engines anymore. It's very much should have your customer at the heart of it as well. So think about enhancing that digital experience for people, not for search engines. Okay, thanks, guys.
Okay, well, thank you, Mike.